Ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a special little broadcast. I got kicked off of YouTube because they want to lie to everybody on the left side of the spectrum. They couldn't have me there, and so they create the impression that right-wingers are bad. I want to basically appeal to everybody on the left side of the spectrum who's been lied to. And all I want you to do is follow what I just described in the public that's coming to this trial. And it has nothing to do with what you've been told. And legally, the truth is going to come out. I want you to text TOTC to 844-837-9924, right? And by the way, you leftists, how many leftists out there? Who cares if you hate right-wingers and we hate left-wingers? How many of you sitting on YouTube, other than the pedophiles, of course, want the federal government, like the FBI, running child porn servers, controlling and communicating with the SMU operators to run operations like on January 6th and create this false narrative? How many of you want the secret shadow government communicating on child porn servers? That's all I ask you. And I don't care about your politics. I can't stand it. Your ideas suck. That's why you have to force your way into our government. That's my commentary. Don't listen to me, hate me, and focus on the trial. We're going to expose it. I want you to share this on YouTube. It should go viral. You leftists need to just do what you do, and you've got wide open channels. Send this out everywhere. As a matter of fact, if you're so inclined and outraged, go back to defunding or whatever it is that you guys do, because the criminals are the ones with the badges and guns in this trial of the century. We're going to prove it to you. I want, if you are so inclined to do it, you guys are lawbreakers. I don't do it. I don't burn buildings. You know what I do? I bring them to their knees through the court. But if you feel so inclined, that would be the time to start defunding these people and burning their buildings down. I mean, if you do that, that would be the time, is when you discover this. So stand back and stand by, as they say, and I know you're repulsed by that, and watch the trial of the century. And if you're a lawbreaker and you decide to burn buildings, you know, I guess do what you do. I don't encourage unlawful activity, but then again, we're trying to expose the criminals. I'm Pete Santilli, and that doesn't matter to you. I want you leftists to go defund this nasty thing that's going to come out in court. Mickey Withoff is going to be unmuting. There we go. Ask her to unmute. There you go. No, we're not. We're not going to a break. We're not going to do that. Yeah. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
This is what we're going to do, Mickey. First of all, I'm losing my voice, but that's okay. I say it's okay. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
I'm pretty good. How are you doing, Mr. Santilli?
Oh, don't call me Mr. Santilli. I want to tell you how proud I was of you. I mean, every step of the way. You haven't left the side of our January 6th Patriots. You've got the vigils going on. I think of you every time I hear when we're doing our court updates at night. Nicole will say, I got to go to the vigil, and I let her go. And that's so important to me. You know why? Because I was on the other side of those Jericho marches.
Yes,
I would look through the glass and see the Patriots outside the jail. And it gave me, I'm telling you, it gives them so much strength. They probably say it, but it's something you can't describe. You cannot describe what they're feeling on the inside.
No, we have been blessed to be out there since August 1st, and right now I'm in a brief visit home to California to see my family and to take care of some things that you can only take care of in person.
Yeah.
But there are people there at the vigil right now, and if anybody wants to watch after they're done watching Pete Santilli, it goes on every night from 7 to 9:30. We sing the national anthem with the American hostages that are in that jail. and hopefully people throughout the country hashtag Sing for Freedom on Freedom Corner, which we've renamed our corner down there, Freedom Corner. And, just been blessed with the generosity of American people to be there as long as we have. So, we live in Nicole Reppett and Randy Ireland and myself and Freedom Express all live in the Eagle's Nest. And then we host J6 families when they come in. Tommy Tatum from the Washington Auditor, I believe.
Is Tommy Tatum out there?
Tommy Tatum's back. Yeah, he just got back. When I left Wednesday, he got in Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to going back and seeing Tommy. Tommy's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
Do this. And by the way, how much time do I have with you?
Me?
Yeah, 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, absolutely.
30 minutes. Do me a favor. You mentioned a lot of stuff. I know exactly what you said. As a matter of fact, a funny story, and I wanted to interject and tell the funny story because we're going to back up and have you repeat some of the stuff that you said. I remember talking to Deb and people that were writing to me, and they were writing to me, and they were telling me, and they're like, the PMP project, and I'm like, you guys, you're throwing acronyms at me. I haven't been on the internet. What does PMP and what's that website and that group? And I was in shackles and I didn't know. So I asked, what's the PMP? They're like, the Patriot Mail Project. We just say it for short. So the groups that you're mentioning now, okay, I want you to back up. And you mentioned some websites, and you mentioned the Eagle's Nest. I want you to describe what the Eagle's Nest is, right?
Well, the Eagle's Nest is our we rent month to month. We have been quite nomadic and moved around. So right now we're in our fourth Eagle's Nest. And, I am blessed to be surrounded by a team of dedicated people. We work closely with Gary McBride, who has seen and identified more J6 footage than probably anybody else. Randy Ireland with AmericansForJustice.org. Kara Castronova is at the house right now. She's with Fox News, Wise Guys, and just such a long resume that I wouldn't be able to. Everybody knows Kara. She's our J6 girl.
Oh, yeah. And not everybody knows. And if you don't mind me interjecting, because you said something, and I want to overemphasize this point publicly. You ready?
Yes, sir.
I had interaction with Gary McBride. He's a great soul. He is. And my interaction with him initially, because I was in that legal mode, and I said, you're finding some great stuff here, but as far as montages and getting them to the attorneys, one unfortunate thing is that the montages will never make it in front of a jury. But this is important stuff. So we had this interaction in the beginning. And we lock horns. This is my thing. I've been hearing a lot about Gary McBride, and I've been trying to do my work, and I've been seeing his work. I want to make sure, because he's doing such great work, just like all of us, you especially. We've lost family members. We've lost friends. We're so dedicated to this thing together. Gary McBride himself, he's lost family members and friends, but he's so dedicated to the work he's doing. I most recently said, I just found something, and it came from Gary McBride. I want to make sure, I want to get Gary McBride. I call it our church, right? This is our church. Right. We're building our church. Rally around Gary McBride, and everybody knows they need to know who Gary McBride is, and we need to rally around him because he's working so hard, and we're all losing family members. But he picked up a whole bunch of new family members, didn't he?
He did, and it is interesting that you mentioned that, because it is a big family, and oftentimes inside families you will lock horns with people, especially with such strong personalities and dedicated people that we work with. You just have to realize that you have to agree to disagree, and know that everybody wants to get to the same place, but we all have different ways of getting there. And every single member of our team has something to offer. And I know that you've recently been working with Nicole Reppett, and she's a firecracker. I am proud to know Nicole Reppett, and I would stand with her anywhere. She's a trooper and a fighter, and in the game for sure. Gary McBride, his work speaks for itself. He's tireless and dedicated. Randy Ireland, tireless and dedicated. Just so much goes on in the Eagle's Nest, and people come and go. We have a core group of people. David Valentine with Freedom Express is one of our live streamers. He's in the house, and everybody is always, talking and looking and strategizing on J6 procedures.
Let's do this, if you could, because I want to make sure. The names, like Freedom Express and the live streamers, right? So, a couple of the new names are new to me. I've been doing work, I hope, you know I've been doing work behind the scenes a lot. Wait till you hear. We're going to talk about it. Big work. I can't wait. The Freedom Express. Nathan is going to write this down. I want to make sure that we put in today's episode, we put links to where we can go connect with these people. And Nathan, if you could, what is his website? The Freedom Express one.
That is it. It's David with Freedom Express Media.
Freedom Express Media. Okay, good.
Yes, and 1791 Stormtrooper is all out there every night as well. And we have over 3 million watched hours between Randy Ireland, Freedom Express, Stormtrooper, and Glory Be, who are dedicated people out there with us in the rain and the cold and the wind.
Yes.
And it's a blessing to know these people. And, and I didn't know when I decided to go to DC, it was Randy Ireland and myself and Nicole Ruffett for a couple of days until she went home. But it was Randy Ireland and myself out there on the corner for a little bit. And then we slowly started to gather and accumulate people that have been a dedicated core group of people. We have some large groups, like, on January 6th, we had people come from all over. We have had people come from Oregon, Florida, just to stand with us on Freedom Corner because they're such dedicated watchers. And also the live stream viewers that watch, they are our people that call to action when we need to put pressure on certain Congress people or to call for investigation into certain guards inside because, when Maccabee got, pepper sprayed and left in his cell, it was our live stream viewers that called, into an investigation for Lieutenant Lancaster. When we first got there, it was every night the prisoners would have some repercussions for us being there. But we did ask them, if it's more trouble, if we're getting you hurt. But no, every single one of them still wanted us to stay there. We give them a link to the outside world because they call and talk over the phone and talk to our live streamers and get their message out to families or their message out to American people. And then they call in every night at 9 and we sing the national anthem with them as they blink their lights on and off. And it's a connective, interactive experience that I'm happy to be a part of.
Yeah. Now, I have across the bottom of the screen. I'm gonna put your name and your website. We're gonna give that. We're running text alerts for our court watching. I'm calling the Proud Boys trial in particular the trial of the century. And are you starting to get word? I haven't spoken to you. Are you starting to get word that some big stuff's gonna come?
Well, and I like I said, I live with Nicole Ruffett.
Okay,
and
good.
She does keep us updated
Good.
and also gives an update at our vigil every night.
Good.
I know that there was a ruckus in the courtroom Wednesday right after I left.
That's right.
And Dan Hall has said some awful things about my daughter. And before that article came out, I was aware of the fact that he's very anti-January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really uncommon for lawyers representing these men. They say shameful things to them, and it's hard to believe they get their best representation. We've had a couple of fighters, but a lot of lawyers that just want to roll over and not fight for their clients. And we're standing outside the DC Gulag holding vigil because, we still have people in there that after 736 days, this is 736 days, without a proper investigation into Ashli Babbitt's murder, Roseanne Boylan's murder, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips. And so we absolutely need an investigation into that. But we have people like John Mellis, and he's not the only one, still sitting behind bars, not having been convicted of anything, and pre-trial detention for 736 days, which is not a practice we operate under in this country. But they seem to be making up special rules for the J6ers inside the courtroom, inside the jails, and in DC itself.
Yes, they certainly are. You mentioned it, and I was going to specifically say, because we have covered it extensively, this Dan Hull guy and his commentary is repulsive. I'm glad it went public. I heard grumblings of it beforehand. I'm glad it went public, especially when it did. But getting Norm Pattis on that case, have you been in the courtroom and seen Norm Pattis's conduct? Because you know what? I want to offset the nastiness with the goodness that's come through this. Norm Pattis.
I have seen Norm Pattis in action. He's a passionate man, and he is there to fight for everybody. And I'm glad that this came out after I left DC because everybody eats in the same cafeteria. And I have been actually feet away from Dan Hall and was unaware of some of the things he said about my daughter. And I'm glad that I know that now, and I didn't hear it then because I would have some special words for him, and you have to maintain you have to maintain yourself inside the courthouse. So sure. I'm glad I was unaware of that here. But yeah, the Proud Boys trial, Again, I believe that they all deserve an individual, separate trial. And I've seen some of the jury selection. It just concerns me that these are not our peers. You're having people sit on the jury that have been to Black Lives Matter rallies, and they support Antifa in different ways. And sometimes the judge will strike them for cause, but oftentimes not. And so it's really concerning to me that first of all, that all of them have to be tried at the same time, and that they don't have a change of venue. I think everybody deserves a change of venue because DC is named as a defendant in the court cases, and I believe it's very much when you go into these courtrooms, I believe, it's my opinion, and I've sat in on several of them, that they're trying the day on the calendar and not the man in the crime. Not the man for what his actions were that day. And also, they work on a point system as far as sentencing goes. And a lot of these men are picking up felony charges because for interrupting interstate commerce, which is because Safeway had to close an hour early that night. And so they're actually sticking them with felony charges that do stick and do add to their sentence enhancements. And it's just a bizarre practice going on in that city that is just like, you think one more time, oh, they can't do this or they can't do that, and then they do it, and then you think it again and you think, well, of course they can't do this, and they do. I was given when I went to lay flowers at the Capitol for Ashli, and Roseanne and Kevin and Benjamin, it's like they didn't even leave us any place to walk, right? But we were at the Supreme Court building first, and that whole road was closed down, so there was no problem. But the barricades actually came up to the end of the sidewalk. So there wasn't like, a little bit of a leeway in the sidewalk to walk on, and then the Capitol, because they chose to put the barricades right up against the street. And when I'm going to go to the right there's a little cutout there. So I was thinking that I would walk into that cutout, and that's when all the fun began. But January 6th would tell me something about, for certain groups, it's okay for them to walk down the middle of the street, but we couldn't have one lane for 3 minutes. If he would have let us go, we could have laid our flowers and turned the corner. Because that's when, like I said, the road between the Capitol building and the Supreme Court where we were, the whole road was closed down. So it was okay if we walked on that. They were also letting certain people in there that day. Tourists could go in, and we couldn't go in with our flags and our signs. So we opted to stick to the road. But then when we made the right-hand turn, that's when we had no place to walk but in the road. And they immediately came and told us to get out of the street. And then my charges were failure to obey and obstructing traffic. Well, I'm going to argue that because I do get my day in court, I had the option of leaving with a citation and $150 fine and admitting to guilt, or having my day in court. And I chose my day in court because I very much did not fail to obey. The police officer presented me with two options. One of those was to move 4 lanes of traffic to the left to the sidewalk and not be able to lay flowers for my daughter who they murdered 2 years ago, or to get arrested. So I did choose one of the two options he presented to me. So that is not failure to obey. That's very much compliant. And my obstruction of traffic charge, it's like we would have been 3 minutes with 3 feet of a lane of traffic, and instead they chose to pull around like they were preventing the crime of the century, and block off 4 lanes of traffic for half an hour. So I don't believe that obstructing traffic was their major concern that day either.
And, and that's good that you mentioned that. Now I've got a question for you because I observed it. I got word immediately. We broadcast it. I think you were live at the time. Yeah, or there was a live feed that was out there. I grabbed it and shared it. And I watched, but here's my first reaction. I want to get, there's videos out there of your arrest, but here was my initial reaction. I was repulsed because if I were a police officer and I were a compassion one, which they say, oh, the majority of them are nice. Well, bottom line is, if I had a badge and a gun, I would have pulled you aside and said, I understand. I don't want to do this to you on this day. I know how you feel. And I just need you to help me out, and let's, do something here, and then we'll move along. I'm going to give you a police escort, and I'm going to light up my lights and sirens, and I'm going to surround you. And we're going to make sure, because I'm so concerned about safety, that I'm going to provide safety for you with 800 police officers and provide escort for you wherever it is you want to go. I want to make sure you get to and from, because that's why I said get out of the street, because I want to protect you for your safety. So I'm going to dedicate my entire force to you. That's what I would have done. And that didn't happen.
I would have appreciated that, Pete, or
that
something in the middle, because there's a lot of room between what you're describing and what actually happened. But we're aware that they very much don't want us in DC because we are everywhere. We went to a protest, a January 6th committee hearing. We hold our signs in front of the Capitol of the 4 murder victims and the tragic death of Officer Sicknick as well, not at the hands of American patriots, but at the hands of his comrades.
That's right.
Who, sticking with the theme of that day, did not render him aid, and he died the day after, never having been hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. So, we honor these people because, they're 4 unarmed American citizens that died that day, and nobody's acknowledged them. Nobody's saying their name. Even people that are beginning to realize that Roseanne Boylan was beaten to death by the Metropolitan Police still have never heard Kevin or Benjamin's name. So, as many times as we can say that, I hope that now that we have the power in the House, that we will absolutely launch an investigation into what happened that day. And, Troy Nels he did, after 2 years, 736 days, get these men visitation because they've not seen their families or had any video visits with their families. And we do appreciate his work, but I want to know why it couldn't happen, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And also that, he's not there for the men with assault on police officers. And I understand that because he has a prior history of law enforcement. And we love Troy Nels, but I would just like to implore him to look at the behavior of the Capitol Police that day and why the men that we have in particular facing decades in jail for trying to prevent murder, which is a moral obligation, even if the perpetrator's wearing a uniform. So I have heard him say publicly that Ashli was murdered by a Capitol Police officer. So I would implore him to investigate and to have an open mind as to the fact that other Capitol Police officers could have been behaving badly that day as well. Could have and did behave badly that day as well. Arrestable offenses, not just Michael Burr.
Right. And guess what? As far as Congress, not that Congress is not going to be helpful, because they are. There's been some moves here. They're going to release, and I think it's important. I'm going to show you a video, and there's a lot of things that are going to come out. Mickey, I haven't been able to talk to you about this, but it's going to come out. And instead of Congress can support the effort that's going to happen in this courtroom. In this courtroom, this is where we expose the truth and we shut this thing down. I think through the Proud Boys trial, the truth is going to come out. Okay, that the high resolution video is going to paint a completely different picture. But here's my word: I wasn't just sucking up to you saying I'd give you an escort when on January 6th. That's an emotional day for you, absolutely, and everybody knows that. They knew who you were, did they not?
Well, I can only imagine they knew who we were.
Yes.
I don't know if they knew who I was specifically, but we had signs, carrying a picture of my murdered daughter and Roseanne Boylan.
Yes.
And carrying our American flags, which, by the way, if you carry an American flag in DC, people will not make eye contact with you. It's like,
my
people
goodness.
in the city, it's really a bizarre situation that the capital city of the United States of America looks upon people with flags as less than, like, what are you doing in my city with a flag? So it's really become a bizarre situation, and but that's how we recognize each other. You got a flag, I got a flag, we're on the same team. God bless America for that.
The police, they didn't make that discretionary call, and they said, "I'm just doing my job," and they put you in handcuffs. From the moment they took you all the way through, because you were released pretty quick, did they respect you? Were they nice to you? Were they kind to you?
Well, as much as it pains me to say this, my initial arrest with Officer, I'm not even going to say his name because I'm not sure, Officer A-hole, he was a very angry man from the beginning. So he cuffed me up so hard that he actually cut my wrist. Like, my wrist was bleeding. I didn't realize it until I took my jacket off. But once I got to Capitol Police headquarters, everybody was very kind. As kind as you can be in a situation like that. Because I got the full experience. I got chained to the wall. I got in that little room with the stainless steel appliances, the toilet bowls, all part of the sink, and the little slab. And then I was fingerprinted, mugshotted. So I got the whole experience. But I think people were as kind and gentle with me as they could be once I got inside the Capitol Police.
And I bring that up not to offset the kinds of people, because we know that there's people there. Those are the people I want to follow along and pay attention to the truth about what is going to come out, and it will come out. So I want to show everybody right now what we're talking about on that day, on January 6th. I'm going to share with our listening audience exactly what happened here, so that you guys you guys can see what we're talking about here. Here it is. And where are you, by the way?
We had just made the right up the street, walking right beside the Capitol, but I don't know if it was the east side or the west side.
That's where the congressmen and women at the Rayburn building have their offices, right?
Across the street, yes.
All right, right there. Yep.
And that's where he squished my coffee.
That guy right there, not so kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
The tall, bald guy.
Yep. There's, of course, Nicole Reffitt is right there with you.
Yes, sir, she is.
That was not necessary.
I'm not discussing it. Sidewalk. We're not discussing it. Sidewalk now, or you're under arrest. It's that simple. We're not discussing it. We're not having any discussions. The sidewalk needs to be placed under arrest. Go ahead. Yeah.
You're arresting Ashley Babbitt's father.
You're gonna arrest? Oh my God.
Walk to the sidewalk. If you cross the sidewalk, place under the sidewalk. Move to the sidewalk. You're blocking traffic. There is no parking allowed. Sir, move to the sidewalk.
Now, I have a question for you. It looks like the barricades blocked the sidewalk. It wasn't like they were. Is that correct?
The barricades did block the sidewalk. They could have just blocked off the Capitol and left us some sidewalk, but they had it blocked up to the sidewalk. But you can see where those cement pillars or whatever kind of pillars those are. That's where I was trying to go to get out of the road right there, but he would not let me get past him. He wanted me to go to the left, which would have been 4 lanes of traffic over the other way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I observed it right away. There you are, getting arrested.
Yeah, and
on January 6th, right?
On January 6th, and I had put my hands behind my back to make it easy for him, and that's really when he started yanking me around, and what I thought was unnecessarily rough. I mean, I know that I did accept what was going to happen when I decided not to cross over to the sidewalk 4 lanes of traffic away, but I very much felt like I should have been allowed to lay a flower and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you asked a question in the public. You want to know. You wanted to know, who would prevent you from laying flowers and moving on. Correct? Say it in your own words. What did you say?
Yes,
publicly?
absolutely. I chose my day in court instead of a citation and a fine because I want to go to court and I want them to tell me why certain organizations can close down the city, but I can't have 3 feet of. I mean, and I would have happily walked on the sidewalk or in that little alcove there if they would have let me finally get there. But I want my day in court because I want people to answer why I can't lay flowers for my murdered daughter.
Are you going to have and you'll have the opportunity, by the way, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell me if you agree. Our nation historically has honored the fallen. We build memorials for those that have served our country, like your daughter. Tell everybody that may not know who your daughter is, first of all, before January 6th. Who was she?
I am the proud mother of Ashli Elizabeth Babbitt. She was shot and killed inside the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. She served this country honorably, did 4 tours of duty in the Middle East, was injured on her 21st birthday, almost bled to death, was airlifted to Germany for life-saving measures, but it left her with a shredded womb and unable to have children. And she was dishonorably discharged, but her rendering of honors was denied to her simply because she was at the Capitol on January 6th.
And as a result of her being at the Capitol, she was dishonorably discharged, correct?
No, they never changed her status of discharge. They just did not render her honors at death. The flag folding ceremony and any kind of military playing of taps was denied her because of her because she was there at the Capitol on the 6th of January.
And here she is. And by the way, this is you can go to 4 Ashli.com, ASHLI.com. Here she is, having served her country. And what was her job, by the way? This is important. I do. But Mickey, are you pressed for time? Do you have to go at the 30-minute mark, or can you spend? I want to end naturally here.
No, I'm here for you, Pete. I'm
Please.
here for all of us. Yeah, that's what I came
Please,
to do.
absolutely. What was her job in the military? I know the answer, but I want you to tell everybody. What was her job in the military?
Ashley was security forces in the Air Force, and sometimes she would police like base housing, and sometimes she would, she guarded the president's plane, and she, controlled the desk as a desk sergeant. And she was very well versed in the use of force continuum. She was a detention facility guard.
She was military police, essentially. Right?
She was.
Yeah, military police.
He was well versed in the use of force continuum, and I'm absolutely positive that Michael Byrd skipped all the steps of the use of force continuum. He did not identify himself as a human being, much less a police officer. And they can lie about it all they want to. And they can also say that, he was exonerated after an investigation. Well, I'd like to see that investigation, because he never even gave an interview. They did not rope off a crime scene. They mopped up my daughter like a piece of trash, carried her out of there in less than a respectful manner. She had a possibly survivable wound if they would have rendered her aid in a timely and adequate fashion, which they did not. They also prevented American citizens from rendering her aid. So her blood is on their hands twice. And I feel that way about, Roseanne Boylan as well, because Roseanne Boylan was under a pile of people with patriots trying to drag her out of there. And then as she lay there bleeding from the mouth and the nose, Officer Leila Morris from the Metropolitan Police kept overhand swinging on that woman with a stick until she bounced with lifeless body. And like I said, we have men facing decades in prison for trying to save Roseanne Boylan. They did save Tommy Tatum, who was underneath that same pile of people, Philip Anderson, who was under that same pile of people. All of those people are people that I've met, and I'm sure there were other people that were saved by American patriots that day that are now facing assault on police officer charges. So once again, I would implore Congressman Nels and any other Congressman Green to look into the behavior of the Capitol Police that day, not just the Patriots, because we're holding them accountable for every single thing they did from the year before to their arrest. And I would like to see the Capitol Police be held at least as accountable. But what a lot of people don't know is Capitol Police are not actually a police force subject to external review. They're a separate arm of the Congress and take their orders from the Congress, and that would be Nancy Pelosi. So my daughter's blood is all over Nancy Pelosi's hands, and I hope she sees my daughter's face at night when she tries to go to sleep. But she's committed so many sins that she probably doesn't even remember who Ashli Babbitt is.
Oh, she is. Okay, now let's do this. I think. All right, this is what I want to do. I want to make sure everybody knows who Ashli is. Want them to know what your vigil has been about. We got that, and I think we need tens of thousands of people to be doing the visuals, and they will eventually. Everyone will come awake to the realities. But everything you've done up to this point is for what reason? Why are you doing the vigils? Why are you there outside the jail? Why are you with the live streaming? Why are you doing protests? Why are you doing all this stuff right now? Because you don't have to.
Well, because, I know if Ashli was alive, this is where she'd be in support of her brothers and sisters behind that wall for trying to, stand up for America. And if somebody had been unjustly shot and it wasn't her, she would either be in jail or on the steps of the jail till it was over. And I also think that these men are being denied their constitutional rights. I also believe that, we need to look into the election. I think that everybody there that day, Americans came 2 million strong that day. There was a purpose behind that and a reason behind that. And we should look into why that reason is. And for every one person that was there that day on January 6th, answering the call of a still sitting president of the United States of America, there were 10 of us home on the couch thinking that that's where we should have been. So God bless these patriots for going and standing up for us. And it is not my position or our position as a group that every single person there that day was a Boy Scout. I think that, some people did behave badly, including American patriots, Capitol Police, FBI, denying of the request for the National Guard. There's plenty of blame to go around here. But what we want to see is everybody have their constitutional right to due process and fair charges. These men are being charged excessively, duplicitously, and they're being judged and sentenced harshly. Like I said, they're getting so I can't remember exactly how many points that it is on their sentencing, because Safeway had to close early because they had talked to somebody two weeks before they both showed up in DC. So I mean, just various reasons, and several the assault while wearing a weapon, assault while being clothed, assault while being human. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. Like the same action is being charged 4 and 5 times. And they're getting guilty across the board because it's DC and because they were there on January 6th. And their lawyers and the judges say horrible things to them, like they're not a patriot, they're not a hero. Nobody on there that day on January 6th was a hero. And I beg to, I beg to differ. I think that there were very many dedicated American patriots that day, and I think that they should be acknowledged. I don't think it's the judge's idea responsibility after people have been sentenced to call them reprehensible human beings. I don't think that the Proud Boys should be being charged 5 at a time because they're all part of the same organization. They were different people behaving differently that day, and some of them weren't even there. Well, one of them wasn't even there, and same thing with the Oath Keepers being charged, together, tried together. People absolutely, because, it restricts the lawyers and ties the lawyers' hands because, some things that might not be advantageous for one client is for another, and it should not be a group situation. They should have their own jury, their own trial. In the Oath Keepers trial, there were 20,000 text messages to sort through, and they have to, one jury, 5 people, attribute everything that was said to every different person. And so it's just such an unfair, un-American way to do things that I just don't understand why it's allowed to continue.
I don't, but guess what? You've heard bits and pieces, okay? And by the way, the conversation that you and I are going to have is going to be, we're going to kill 3 birds with one stone. Number one, I need to make sure that you and I have a conversation together about, and we're going to start off this way, do you have a wrongful death lawsuit? Does the family have a wrongful death lawsuit? Is my question.
Well, that's not something I'm comfortable talking about.
You don't have
now.
to. No.
We do have, my son-in-law is handling that, and
okay.
We do have a lawsuit going forward.
Okay, good.
And there's about to be some things happening.
Okay, you don't have to mention anything, but this is what I will say. I was assuming that you would. And if you said, no, I don't, I was going to say, you need to get one, and you need to start following along in the trial of the century period, because some stuff's going to come out. It is. And you may be upset by, and even if you've heard bits and pieces, I'm just going to take you down the path here. You may be upset here, all right? And every person better be upset by what I'm about to share here. Have you, by chance, read this article right here? If our republic is to survive, McCarthy must do these 3 things. Have you seen this article by chance? And if you didn't, that's okay.
I have not.
Okay. All right. Now watch this. There's what I'm telling you right now had to come out in court because, as you know, we won 2 federal trials. The government were the criminals, and we were blessed that a Portland jury found that the government were the criminals. Really, like in the Proud Boys trial, the appropriate angle is not to defend yourself because you're not a white nationalist, you're not all those things, and defend yourselves because of this scenario with us. It wasn't that we were on trial. We actually put the government on trial. And the leftists that were in the jury box said, and they're not about government overreach. They'll go burn a police station down. They want to defund the police. So they want to hear that the government has done such wrong stuff. Like, it has nothing to do with the defendants. That in Nevada, we were entrapped, that the government was doing wrong. And the truth was so overwhelming. Guess what? Even the leftist corrupt judge had to cover it up and dismiss the case. Does that make sense to you?
Well,
these defendants are not on trial right now.
It's kind of like when you're arguing with your brother and then you're both in trouble with your parents. It unites you as a group, and then you're mad at your parents. So I do get the concept of how that can happen.
Yes.
But in DC, in DC, the judges are just so predisposed to think anything day 6 is a crime, and that's from even people that didn't go in, people that didn't hurt anybody, people that didn't break anything. It's just a blanket opinion across the board, and that's been my experience with every judge's courtroom that I sit in. Absolutely.
Now that's that's pie in the sky. Let's appeal to the jury. I use the example of Oregon. Portland's leftist jury said the government were the ones that did. They were the ones that did the wrongdoing. Now let's turn the corner here. When the entire world finds out, and I'm going to send this out, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time. This is going to be the first video that I'm going to post on YouTube. And I want to especially ask everybody on the left side of the spectrum that's been lied to, okay, about this thing about President Trump and the bad people. We have evidence here, and I published this, and I've been working on this for, upwards of one, and you don't necessarily need to see everything I'm going to read you. I'm just going to give you the concept. I've been working on this for the past year or two, all right? I'm going to scroll down. In this article, all right, it's extensive, and it was mainly written for the deep state, okay? In our trials, this man right here, this man down here, see that guy right there?
Is that Love guy?
Daniel P. Love. You know who Daniel P. Love is?
I've heard things about him. I think that from you, Pete, but I'm maybe not as familiar with him as I should be.
All right, now Daniel P. Love, and I'm doing this because we're going to put this video out. I'm going to put it out on YouTube, and it's not only the truth, but if we get shut down on YouTube, the truth is going to come out. Nobody will be able to cover this up. It is now coming out. Once, and this is what started this forward momentum, Norm Pattis is important here, and you're going to find out why. Last night I got a message. They were about to kick him off the case, and his role in getting this out was going to be different because he would have had to been on the outside. So we were gonna have Norm Pattis either on the outside of the court or in the courtroom. So this is what started this entire process. Daniel P. Love is a person that I published a video. I knew who he was. I published it, right? And God works in beautiful ways because that video made it to somebody overseas. And you haven't heard this before, by the way.
No, I've been kind of out of the loop for a couple days.
I'm gonna tell you. You ready? This is why I wanted to bring you on. Do you know who that man is right there? Does he look familiar?
No.
His name is Evan Newman. Do you know who Ray Epps is?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Everybody knows Ray Epps, right?
I would, yes.
Evan Newman, okay, is a January 6th 10 most wanted person, right? He was identified out at the Capitol. He was in the Capitol. The FBI put out a 10 most wanted, had his picture, right? He was, in fact, approached by, right? They had all of his info. They had his phone number. He was in the Capitol. They had him on pictures, on video. And the FBI showed up at the San Francisco airport at the beginning of February. I don't know the exact dates, but I want to skip over that real quick. They asked him a few questions at the airport, purportedly, and they let him go. He was released. Evan Newman was. And this is what he was told by the FBI. That your incarceration is the least of your concerns. You better keep your mouth shut. And guess what? He had to keep his mouth shut about. He discovered after he fled the country, he went to Italy and he went to Switzerland and then he went to the Ukraine and he landed in the Ukraine. He stayed there for 4 months. He's on the run and he's got friends in the Ukraine. Okay. And let me tell you who one of the group of friends that he has is connected to that guy. Do you know who that guy is right there?
The shaman?
No.
Or the other guy?
No, the other guy. We know who the Q shaman is.
Right. No, I have no idea who that is. Would that be? I don't know. Who is that?
That is Sergei Dubinin. He is a Ukraine.
I could read the name. I just don't know. I just don't know his role in the deal.
And I'm expecting that you don't know any of these things, right? And that you will, okay? Because Sergei Dubinin is a Ukraine Nazi Azov Italian high-level diplomat too. And guess who he's with right here? Sergei Dubinin is with John McCain, and he's with Amy Klobuchar, and he's with the then president of the Ukraine when they did the overthrow of the Ukraine. That's Sergei Dubinin right there. He's been identified, and that's going to come out, all right? The person to the left, Yovanovitch. Marie Yovanovitch gave testimony. She's on the front side, the ambassador to the Ukraine, when in fact, she works for the Central Intelligence Agency. Sergei Dubinin is an Azov member. All right. Now, you ready? You ready for this? When Evan Newman fled to Ukraine, he was there for 4 months. He had intel people, and they told him, some of the circumstances that he was in. And then the goons started tracking him. They were going to kill him. So he fled to Belarus. These are facts, by the way. You can go on the internet and find it. I'm not making this up. It's crazy, but it's true. He fled to Belarus, and he just so happened to find my video. And through intermediaries, long story, I'm not going to talk about the communications channels, he reached out. And it's not like he trusted me. He knew that I was connected to Daniel P. Love from the Bundy cases. He knew that I picked up the phone. Did you know I called the FBI and reported Daniel P. Love?
I do.
So he knew to reach out to me. This man, Evan Newman, was in the CIA and the FBI, and he was involved in the color revolution since 2004, 2005. And he's been working for the government. And guess who his boss was on January 6th? His boss was that man right there, Daniel P. Love. There was a unit called the SMU, right? Special Military Units, the highest level black ops. And he wants to come forward. He's in Belarus. I couldn't release this information. I had to get him with the attorneys because he said, I'm on the other side of enemy lines. I'm in Russia. If they find out I'm CIA, I'm toast.
Right.
This is the evidence that he has. You ready? It's disgusting, but it's true. I've made this public for a reason. I'm going to tell you why in a minute here. The way they communicate is on child porn websites. And he has evidence.
Did you say Mao porn websites?
Child porn websites. Evan Newman, working for the CIA worldwide, they run, and you may think this is the craziest thing you've ever heard, but I'm going to tell you something right now. The person that's in the courtroom that knows all of this, guess who it is?
Mr. Pattis.
Mr. Norm Pattis is the top expert on exposing that the FBI, ran child porn websites, and he outed them as the largest proliferator of child pornography. Now, what do they do with those child porn websites? Why does the FBI do it? They justify running those because they say they're investigating child porn. No, and I'm going to tell you something right now. They run those child porn websites to have their black operatives communicate, because guess what? If you go on the child porn website and you go fishing around, find out who's doing what and what they're saying, what do you think happens to you if you go on that child porn website?
You get arrested by the FBI.
You get arrested.
That's their... Oh my God.
In an instance where, and by the way, Evan Newman has an indictment. He was indicted. It's in the court record. He was supposed to be arrested. This is a January 6th defendant, period. This is not conspiracy theory. He has an insurance policy. And there's a couple of things. You want to hear? I haven't told you the bombshell yet. Child porn, you thought that was the bombshell? His job, because he was involved with the Ukrainians, was to escort these people with diplomatic pouches, and escort them with diplomatic protection into the United States. The Dubai guy, remember? His job as part of the operation was to escort this guy and the other people that were on the ground, and they had a way to communicate. And one of those ways is and this is in the FBI 302 report, by the way. He wore a scarf that had insignia, Ukraine Revolution, right? The Nazi Azov thing. So they had identifiers so that they knew who each other was in the crowd, all right?
Right.
What this man right here was to do from the Ukraine when they came in was to deliver, and Evan found this out when he got to the Ukraine. He found out that those Ukrainians were to deliver and I don't know what it is exactly, I guess we'll never know, an agent, a powder substance, a bioweapon, whatever it may be. And you can carry in the diplomatic pouches a vial of Ebola, and nobody can touch you. You can travel around the world if you have diplomatic protection, all right? Now, I'm just going to ask you a quick question. Do you think that Sergei Dubinin hanging out with all these people has diplomatic privileges? He's hanging out with the ambassador, Yovanovitch, Amy Klobuchar.
Well, of course he does. But I have thought for years, and so have so many other people, that is a ridiculous way to do things.
It
And I
is.
think that part of being an ambassador, or to bring people into this country, I mean, for what it should be, not obviously what it's become, would
Yes.
be to help them become accustomed to the things
Yes.
that we do and not
Yes.
do. We don't rape children. We don't have why I just don't understand why we allow them more
This is crazy.
leniency, leeway
Yeah.
in our country than our own citizens do.
Yeah. No.
And it just is so this is all so frustrating, because like you said, this evidence is there, but who do we have to get in front of with this evidence to have somebody
You ready?
care
You
about
ready?
it?
You ready?
I am ready. I am.
There is also another set of whistleblowers that the video I'm going to show you, that Gary McBride, he doesn't realize the full impact of the video that he put out there. Because in my secure communications, Evan Newman found out that the people he was with, he used the term, and all he said to me was they popped smoke and they bailed on him, and he was left up at the front, and all of the SMU operators, Black Ops like Ray Epps and everybody else, receded into the back, okay? He said they popped smoke, and left. And he was told about the agent that was delivered into the crowd at the time. And let me show you what Gary McBride found. He corroborated something, okay? I'm just going to show you some visual imagery here. I've made some of this public against the United States of America. Watch this.
When you use the crowd.
I'm going to fast forward. See this?
Number?
Right here?
I do.
This stuff right here, in the federal court system, I published evidence, right, about what the CIA knows. They have evidence. We've got court cases. That will be coming out in court, and what that court case is all about.
The ones behind enemy lines.
There he is, behind enemy lines, Evan Newman, right? Watch this.
Of the defendants further
I just shared that with you. There he is, Daniel P. Love. And watch this. There's Daniel P. Love. You saw that video, right?
Daniel.
Evan, put this.
I did.
It would no locked in. Okay, let me fast forward. Back up. He's able to communicate with these people. See that right there? Including.
Yeah.
We suspect that the child porn servers are located right there, and they're going to be subpoenaed. It's a CIA facility at Fort Washington, Maryland. That's where they have the supercomputers. That's where they do all their dirty deeds. We know some stuff about that. We've identified that. Okay,
Justice.
it's going to come out in
You
court.
don't think they're going to get rid of it before we can get it?
Well, I'm going to share that with you at the end here. Let me just tell you what's coming out here.
But we're going to go.
To be some question that Evan, great.
Right. Entitle to the question. Military. Oh no. Hold on one second, okay?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go to the video where we're actually put that that up. I have to back up here. My goodness. The pop smoke thing. So hilarious. I have to pull this up because everybody needs to see this. What's that? I've soiled on my feed with
most important challenges
together, and to let them get that out. I saw it on my feed with the attorney saying things about Ashli Babbitt. It's terrible, but true. All right, here it is. You ready? You see that right there? That right there in that area, that's on Gary McBride's video. All right.
Right.
This is the second breach, and Ray Epps is there, right? Ray Epps is working. He's part of the operation. We know this. Nobody's ever asked questions. You ready, Mickey? I'm going to tell you something. Here's another parallel track that's been working completely independent. And what I had to do was to get retired communication came out from inside that there's a team of people that had high resolution videos that have been withheld from the public and the discovery. Like this right here, right? This is low resolution that Gary McBride has, all right? But
Right.
whistleblowers on the inside have been trying to leak information to get it into the court system, that they have facial recognition of everyone at the front breach and the secondary breach, and the majority of them were feds.
No.
Yes. And they're prepared, to come forward to testify. Now watch this. That's going to come out too, by the way. All right?
correct.
Here's, sorry. Back up. This is Ray Epps.
Who
Watch
we
this.
now have testimony
That Ray Epps wasn't doing anything, but he's going to present him. I'm trying to skip through my commentary here.
Lower resolution.
There he
video.
is.
The high resolution video that actually will scan the entire crowd. They know exactly who everybody is, right?
They do.
They match that up with your phone records. They have the geofencing, right? They overlay all of that stuff.
Did you know about the geofencing data?
You mean people being hunted down for their credit card use and the way they spent their money that day? Is that what you're talking
I'm
about?
going to show you the geofencing data, and you're going to find this interesting. Here it is. This entire crowd right there, every person that had a cell phone or an electronic device, they have geofencing data. They ask Google, give us all of the data on everybody there, and they can identify every single person that's in that crowd right there. They have it. They did facial recognition of every single person. I'm going to prove it to you here in just a second. But watch this. Remember what Evan Newman told me? I didn't see it, but
Ding.
watch this. The pop
facial
smoke. Remember the pop
recognition.
smoke?
And they have gotten most of the people
Yes, sedition hunters.
arrested.
Sedition hunters.
Sedition hunters, that's them.
It's a Fed
And,
operation.
and they have gotten most of the people who've been arrested has been because of them.
Yes.
Yep.
Gonna
And
fast
I have
forward.
Go-to reports.
See that right there?
Okay.
Yes.
That right there came to me legally. I say legally. I'm a journalist. That is protected discovery, right? On Evan Newman. The government, the FBI, that let Evan Newman go at the airport, they knew who Evan Newman was. They had his exact location because of geofencing data. So what would they do to people like, I don't know, Maureen and Lorraine that were in Capital Punishment movie? They busted their door down because they were inside the Capitol, right? Or near the Capitol. They knew who Evan Newman,
And,
this is,
and even people that would have gone and turned themselves in, that's how they, Nicole Reffitt's family, the FBI crashed through their door and put those little red dots all over them. And like so many people in Capital Punishment, that was the way they did things. They
That's
came
right.
down the street with their tanks, rolling strong and busting in doors and
Yes.
scaring the hell out of the American people and their children.
yes. Now this is stuff that they don't want out there. Your Google ID, account ID, once they have that, your recovery SMS, your sign-in telephone, they have every single thing. They have, check this out. Your two-step verification with Google? The
Yeah.
FBI goes in there, the Google gives them all of it, and the FBI's in there getting into all of your stuff. So why
Yeah.
is this important? Because that's Evan Newman. But they knew who he was. You see that right there?
Yeah.
A review of Newman's LinkedIn profile shows he attended, and by the way, they're all compartmentalized. So some rookie agent combs through the internet, finds the number, he sees this. That right there is the Nazi Azov Battalion Ukraine revolutionary scarf that Newman is admitted that the FBI identified as wearing out in the crowd, right?
Yeah.
That's what he was wearing. That's the FBI report. And this is what they said. On February 16th, members of the FBI Special Surveillance Group observed Newman leaving Mill Valley and followed him to the international terminal in San Francisco. While at SFO, Newman was interviewed by FBI agents. When I said he was interviewed by FBI agents, the FBI said that they interviewed him and they let him go. Mickey, are you upset about that just alone right there?
Well, I'm upset about the FBI in general. It's like,
Yes.
Christopher Wray won't answer one question. I saw him, being questioned a couple times, and he doesn't do anything but talk in circles. So
Yes.
I wish I could say I'm surprised that they
Yeah.
let him go, but nothing they do surprises me anymore.
Yes.
2 years ago, you would have had to convince me that this country was capable of these things. But
Yeah.
I look at what goes on around me, and it's just so,
Yeah.
all this facial recognition is just so repressive by our government.
It
They have
is.
us by, they have us pinned to the wall in every single way. And,
That's right.
and a lot of the American people don't know that. And even when you go to like the airports, the way they herd you in and out of those grates, I believe, we are nothing more than farm animals to our government right now.
That's right. We are nothing but farm animals, and look at what they're willing to do. Okay. And everyone needs to be even more upset. Watch this. Remember the pop smoke? Watch the pop smoke as it advances here. All right. In the crowd, Ray Epps is in there, right? With the operators. And it's going to go slow motion here, and you're going to see this as it advances. Ready?
Now I'm gonna
Watch the
tell you
bottom left-hand
something
corner.
Very important.
Over in the bottom left-hand corner area of where the crowd is. See the smoke signal?
Right.
Did you ever see that?
Yes.
That red smoke? You see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Pop smoke.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything receded. Now, Gary McBride, okay, put that up there. You see the red smoke. You see people communicating, back and forth. There's been a theory about, what they were doing. Ray Epps, is it not a fact? Did you watch that video? Ray Epps went to the back, right? Everyone, everyone went to the back.
I've watched Dave Summerall's, parts of it, because some of it I just can't. Even some of that video you just showed me is upsetting. But
yes,
it's necessary. But in Dave Summerall, he has video of that flare going up, and then after that flare went up, what was that a signal to do? And that's why
here's what I want to suggest to you. We have a witness. Okay. You ready? His name is Evan Newman. He was let go, and he was the one that delivered the Ukrainians that released an agent into the crowd, and this is what we suspect the agent was. It was a powder substance that causes a riot, causes people to become homicidal and violent and do things they normally wouldn't do.
Before. And also somewhat it was a sort of an amnesia effect on some of them too. It does. The agent is because I have heard that several of the guys, like they aren't really crystal clear on what happened after some of those things you're talking about happened. So
that's right.
This is not the first time I've heard that. So there's a lot of other stuff that's going to come out, and then there's nothing can stop it from coming out. I'm going to say this: everything is being done legal. I haven't seen any discovery. I didn't see any high resolution. All I did was I put the appropriate people that are inside that have been begging to come out into the courtroom and say, we had facial recognition. Here's the high resolution stuff. All these people we identified were government employees. Number one. Well, and that would explain why they want Norm Pattis off of the case.
Norm Pattis is the one that exposed the fact that the FBI is running child porn servers on government property. And Norm Pattis had to stay on the case. Why were they taking him off? Oh, because I've been talking to Norm Pattis for, I don't know, when did it start? When Owen Schroyer first got indicted and Norm got on the case, I started feeding Norm Pattis information. Guess what they've been doing? They've been listening. They've been watching. And all of a sudden, Dan Hull screws up. Joe Biggs wants Norm Pattis, and the perfect storm happens. And Norm Pattis is on the case. What do? Oh, coincidentally, they try to get him off the case, don't they?
Right.
For this reason right here, because he's the one that exposed them, all right? So there is no way, shape, or form that this is this is not going to come out. I'm going to say that Ashli Babbitt, okay, was surrounded by a bunch of operators that had pre-planned exactly her murder, her scenario. She was allowed to do and be exactly where she was at. Now, did they pre-plan her murder? They set up the scenario. She would not be dead now if the U.S. government did not deploy what I just said to you. And it's going to come out. It will come out. We have proof of everything I said, and everyone's going to provide affidavits. Now, is it going to come out in court? I'm going to ask you a question here as we wrap up our conversation. This is what I seek. I seek two things. All I want is the truth to be so overwhelming they have to stop the trial and dismiss everybody like they did with us. And I want to hug all the defendants. And then I want to bring justice for Ashli Babbitt and the other people that have died. That's it. I don't even care about whether or not it goes on ABC News. I'm going to hug Joe Biggs and Enrique and all the defendants that weren't a part of this thing. I want to apologize to them. And in my case, the truth started coming out, and our record was sealed because whistleblowers came forward, and he started telling the truth, and the judge shut the case down. That was part of the cover-up. So this case, once it comes out, it'll be dismissed. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I have a whole bunch of evidence for you to sue and bring justice for your entire family. And I want to apologize to you that our government has done this to your family.
Thank you, Pete. And I do believe that there will be justice for Ashli and these men too. And I hope it's the Proud Boy trial that does blow this wide open. But there are so many people sitting behind bars right now that don't have the support of some of the more spotlighted people. And so, we talked about the Patriot Mail Project earlier. So I would just really wish that some people would look on the Patriot Mail Project and maybe write a letter to somebody you've not heard of before, or reach out to their family and support them in a way that would touch their heart, because some people literally have nobody.
They do. And and that's what I want. I mean, my goal in getting Roger Roots on that that defense. You know what, I'm here today in a free man. I say partly because of what Roger Roots did, and he's fearless. I had to have people that are fearless in that courtroom. We tried it with the Oath Keepers, by the way, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I think you've always known I've worked behind the scenes with these attorneys, a bunch of chimps.
Right.
And we had to test and probe which ones were going to have the courage to bring this stuff forward. They pushed back in the Oath. It was supposed to come out in the Oath Keepers trial, and they pushed back. And I'm not going to mention anything, but
it does take a certain amount of bravery to go up against the system, because you see what the federal government will throw at you. And make no mistake, the prosecution, they're sitting very much at the government's table. Also, I have seen FBI witnesses, when pressed by attorneys, that say that they have only watched the tape that was given to them by the prosecution. So they actually only consider that evidence and then go forward with what the prosecution wants to present to them, which is often clipped down or modified video in some way.
Now,
so
just let the defendants know it's all being done legally. Okay.
Yeah,
the records that were dumped on the defense 2 weeks ago of all of the tip calls, quote unquote. You know what one of those tip calls was? Me reporting Daniel P. Love. And guess what? Norm Pattis and Roger Roots now have that discovery. And they're down the hall. They're going to ask the government, where's this? What's going on with this?
I have had the pleasure of meeting both of those men. And I think that, our hope does lay in men like that are fearless.
Oh, yeah.
And really ready just to go balls to the wall, pardon the expression.
They are.
Because that is what we need, because we've had some attorneys with less than fight in them. And I hate to say that we've also, we have had some people. I thought that, Kyle Fitzsimon's public defender did an amazing job, and it was still guilty across the board. So hopefully the Proud Boys trial will bring out some information and some evidence that will turn heads and lock it down and exonerate people.
Mickey, I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it confidently because, first of all, I'm saying it publicly. The attorneys know what to do. Okay, Norm, all the attorneys that are involved in this thing, if they're corrupt, they're all of a sudden going to start piling on. Carmen, what's her name? Carmen Hernandez.
Carmen, I believe it's Hernandez.
Carmen Hernandez. She's doing a good job. This is going to come out. It is going to come out. There's nothing that can stop it from coming out. The discovery is in. The call about Daniel P. Love is in. Evan Newman is out of the country. They know who Evan Newman is. We could actually ask, why did you let Evan Newman go? It's selective prosecution to let Evan Newman go, knowing that he's running around in the Capitol and the FBI knew it.
Right.
That's selective prosecution. You can dismiss a case on that alone.
But will they? I hope so. But
guess what? We're going to bring them to their knees.
All of it is selective prosecution.
It is.
And
That's right.
I still don't understand the rhyme and reason behind who has to be in pre-trial detention and sit in solitary confinement for 736 days, and who gets to await trial at home. So, and why some people can spend the whole day together and they have different charges. And there are just so many things about that day that don't make sense, and one of them, and everybody says this, so it's just going to sound cliche and boring, but one of them is Ray Epps. What the hell's up with
right.
Ray Epps?
Say Evan Newman, okay? Because do you think that Evan Newman, that based on what I just showed you, that his name deserves to be mentioned even more so than Ray Epps? Don't you agree? We need to ask.
And at least as equally. And again, we haven't talked about this, but we can touch on this really quick. What a sham that the January 6th committee hearing was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what did they do besides get up there and tell a story? They might as well have ran a movie, because they didn't mention. I mean, I didn't watch them, so I'd be hard pressed to tell you what they didn't mention or what they did mention. But I know they didn't mention Ashli, Roseanne, Kevin, or Benjamin.
Yeah.
Or Michael Byrd. And I think that if Michael Byrd's such their hero, he should have been put on the stand and asked some questions by some Norm Pattises or some Joseph McBride,
right.
or anybody else that was going to give him an actual interview, which to this day he has not done. Unless you want to count Lester Holt, when Lester Holt was up there throwing softballs and guiding him through the process and touting him as a hero. One more thing. I know you got to go, or we have to go, but I was in the courtroom with Fanone, who gives his victim impact statements there, and he gets up and says, what horrible people we were and how we all deserve to, suffer every single day of their sentence. And the judge was saying, he defended the Capitol, he defended the United States, he defended America. And I had seen him outside the January 6th committee hearing, and I had some unkind words to say to him. And so I think he recognized me in the courtroom. And when the judge was praising him like that, I had to get up and leave. And as I was walking out, he leaned up on his elbows and winked at me like, gotcha. Winked at me in the courtroom.
Yeah, isn't that how much disdain they have for us is important to highlight. But guess what? The truth is going to set us free. It is. It's gonna set us free. Now, Mickey, you ready? Here's how we go forward as far as a legal mumbo jumbo is concerned. This is all I want you to do. Talk to your family members if they're considering it at any point in time. And I want you to I want your family members to engage with Norm Pattis and Roger Roots and watch the docket and watch the explosion and watch the trial. That's all we need to do, because guess what? The overwhelming truth will come out. There will be motions filed where they're asking for all of the records that they've been withholding coming out of Fort Washington about surveillance. Where are those?
Well, I have met and talked to both Norm Pattis and Roger Root, and I do sit in on the trials, and I do see how hard they work and some of the things they're willing to do and what they're up to. So
have your attorneys, your attorneys, if you've hired them, have them watch the trial and get with Norm Pattis. You don't need to go by some goofy talk show host like me. Just watch the court system, watch the evidence. It's going to be overwhelming, and it will come out in the trial of the century. And we are providing daily updates. I hope you know that I'm doing that twice daily.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm dedicated to this effort, and all I don't want anything other than justice for Ashli and all others that have been so disgraceful. 4 people died. As a matter of fact, tell everybody their names: Ashli Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan. Go ahead.
Ashli Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips.
Kevin Greason and Benjamin Phillips, and Roseanne Boylan is not mentioned enough. We're Americans. We don't do that. We don't dance on the graves of the fallen. And if this is all truthful and it comes out in court, it's even more. Their deaths are even more egregious. So,
I'm interested to get back to DC and watch these men in action in the courtroom again. And I hold out hope that everything you say happens as it should.
Yeah, we're not in the hope business. I will say this: we won with Roger Roots. Ask Roger Roots. One federal trial, got an acquittal up there against the evil monster. Then we got Nevada, 2 federal trials. Right, and guess what?
Right.
We've learned their ways. And Roger Roots, he's going to be aggressive, and Norm Pattis is fearless. And we're just going to we're the good people. It's the people within our government that are the criminals, Mickey. I promise you, I will be right there with you. Since the last time I spoke to you, it's been a little while. I've been working hard, and I will never, ever betray you. And I'm going to tell you that we are going to, in the memory of Ashli Babbitt, make sure that they never so disparage one of our fallen that have served our country in the fashion that she did. Thank you. I'm going to give you last word, and all the links, by the way, because I was asking you about all these groups. They're on your page at ashli.com. Tell everybody how we can support your efforts.
forashli.com. There are all kinds of calls to action on that page. You can follow along with the day count. It's day 736. You can donate to us being there. There's a donate button for us in the Eagle's Nest. There's also links to individual people's Give, Send, Go, Patriot Mail Project, wearegoodmen.org or .com. No, it's on the website. And anything that you want to do to help us. And I just want to remind America that Ashli Babbitt would say, don't be sad for her, be brave for her, and go out and do what you can as an American citizen. I understand that not everybody can be in Washington, D.C. out on Freedom Corner every night, but there's some small thing you can do to support your country and further our cause. So God bless you. Send prayers. We love you.
At minimum, everyone needs to write every single one of these guys and start telling them,
keep your strength, stay faithful. The truth will come out and you'll be set free. Dominic Pizzola, Enrique Terrio, Joe Biggs, Mr. Real, when they walk, I want to hug them when they come out the door, don't you? We want that to be a beautiful moment. It's going to happen to all the other defendants that are in the box. Tell them to remain faithful.
The DC Gulag people had their first visitation today, so good. I'm looking forward to see how that went. So thank you, Pete.
We'll be in touch. And also, I want to, in the evening update, I want you to have, because she always leaves and says, I need to go to the vigil. I need to, at the tail end of the evening update, to get an update on the vigil. Can you go to her and give us an update on the vigil? This is what we're doing tonight. Here are our prayers. Can you do that?
Well, I am actually in California, but as soon as I get back, I will help her do that. And,
good.
And I'll remind her, yes, absolutely, Pete. Let us know what you want from us, and I'll be home soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for all your time. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. That right there, Nathan, I'm going to publish that on YouTube. And I want you to include this segment right here because I want to speak to. As a matter of fact, let's put this at the front of the video. You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a special little broadcast. I got kicked off of YouTube because they want to lie to everybody on the left side of the spectrum. They couldn't have me there, and so they create the impression that right-wingers are bad. I want to basically appeal to everybody on the left side of the spectrum who's been lied to. And all I want you to do is follow what I just described in the public that's coming to this trial. And it has nothing to do with what you've been told. And legally, the truth is going to come out. I want you to text TOTC to 844-837-9924. Right? And by the way, you leftists, how many leftists out there? Who cares if you hate right-wingers and we hate left-wingers? How many of you sitting on YouTube, other than the pedophiles, of course, want the federal government, like the FBI, running child porn servers, controlling and communicating with the SMU operators to run operations like on January 6th and create this false narrative? How many of you want the secret shadow government communicating on child porn servers? That's all I ask you. And I don't care about your politics. I can't stand it. Your ideas suck. That's why you have to force your way into our government. That's my commentary. Don't listen to me, hate me, and focus on the trial. We're going to expose it. I want you to share this on YouTube. It should go viral. You leftists need to just do what you do, and you've got wide open channels. Send this out everywhere. As a matter of fact, if you're so inclined and outraged, go back to defunding or whatever it is that you guys do, because the criminals are the ones with the badges and guns in this trial of the century. We're going to prove it to you. I want, if you are so inclined to do it, you guys are lawbreakers. I don't do it. I don't burn buildings. You know what I do? I bring them to their knees through the court. But if you feel so inclined, that would be the time to start defunding these people and burning their buildings down. I mean, if you do that, that would be the time, is when you discover this. So stand back and stand by, as they say, and I know you're repulsed by that, and watch the trial of the century. And if you're a lawbreaker and you decide to burn buildings, I guess do what you do. I don't encourage unlawful activity, but then again, we're trying to expose the criminals. I'm Pete Santilli, and that doesn't matter to you. I want you leftists to go defund this nasty thing that's going to come out in court. One of the most important challenges our country is facing is healthcare. Hi, this is Pete Santilli, and I want to introduce you to Global Tech, and that's with a K, MD. This is a 100% conservative, patriot-run telemedicine company dedicated to health freedom for all Americans. But don't take my word for it. Just take a look at their board of directors. Deb and I joined Global Tech MD, and I tell you, we couldn't be happier. We got the first month for only $9.95, and you will too by using promo code Pete or by calling 844-GLOBE-MD. That's 844-456-2363. Or go to globaltechmd.com. Global Tech MD gives you so much medical guidance without ever leaving the comfort of your home.
You get access to U.S. board-certified doctors in your area 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with no consultation fees, no copays, and no walk-in clinics. And the best part is, it covers your entire family. Global Tech MD also gets you up to 85% savings on prescription drugs at participating pharmacies. And did you know 73% of all doctor visits can be avoided with a simple telemedicine phone call? Stop paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month on expensive health care. Global Tech MD is redefining what it means to make house calls. Call them from the comfort of your home, and one of their network doctors will call you back within minutes. Don't wait. Call 844-GLOBE-MD or globaltechmd.com today. That's globaltechmd.com.